Welcome back to the free virtual retreat as we explore this topic of wise hope, compassion, and resiliency through a lens of Bhakti yoga, Buddhism, Christianity, and Sikhs with visionaries and teachers. I'm Jackie Dobrinska. I'm the Love, Serve, Remember Foundation's Community Outreach, Education, and Diversity Director. So glad to be with you all today. And I just want to invite you to take a moment and recognize that there's tens of thousands of people who are tuning into this over this weekend, and that psychic and subtle space where we connect through the heart to this spiritual community, even if we're not together in person. So today we have another great day of deepening into teachings. We're starting with a session with Krishna and Bob Thurman. What an amazing duo that's going to be. And then at 10:30, we have another great pair, which is Valerie Carr and Anne Lamott coming back. And at noon, so blessed to have a Chalisa workshop with Nina Rao. If you want the words so that you can follow along to that, you can find the lyrics on her website at ninaraochat.com/Hanuman Chalisa. So a couple of housekeeping items. One is if you need closed captioning, that's on the Facebook page, so go to that to tune in. If you want more information about our teachers or the schedule or anything else, go to ramdas.org/wisehope. And know that you can re-watch Friday sessions and Saturday sessions and even today's sessions on ramdas.org, as well as the YouTube channel and Facebook channels, and those will be up for 2 weeks. And before I turn it over, just a few other things. Spiritual community is so important. And on a virtual retreat, it's hard to meet other people. And so we're having a social hour on Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, where we'll have face-to-face Zoom call. And everybody is invited, whether you're brand new or if you've been here a long time. It's just a way to build that community connection. So to register, please go to ramdas.org/wisehope. And there's more ways to stay connected to the fellowship. We're going to have monthly satsangs. And so sign up to receive information about that at ramdas.org/fellowship. And a reminder from yesterday that we are creating a satsang for Black, Indigenous, and people of color. We'd be grateful to hear about your experiences and needs that you have within the community. And that sign up is on the ramdas.org/wisehope page. And if you have any questions about any of this, please email me at info@ramdas.org. I also want to give a shout out to the amazing humans and great gifts and skills that they bring of the people behind the scenes who are bringing this retreat to you. Mangala, JR, Kelly, Rachel, and so many others. So big thank you to all of them. And also tune in every Sunday to our Instagram Solan Music Series. It's at 5 p.m. on Pacific time. This coming Sunday, we're going to have Justin Beretta from the Glitch Mob, which is very exciting. He's going to be sharing his new Ram Dass meditation. And that series is every Sunday through October. So all of these things, the fellowship, the online courses, these virtual retreats, our amazing new website with so many great Ram Dass lectures and writings and recordings. These are the ways that we learn and come together and connect to this wisdom of Ram Dass and Maharaji, which are such guiding lights during these unusual and mysterious times. The mission of the Love, Serve, Remember Foundation is to continue these teachings, and we can only do that with your support. So before we get started, just think about how meaningful all of these things are for you and go to the ramdas.org/donate to support, or text WiseHope to 91999. So thank you for supporting all of these teachings. And just lastly, a quick reminder that if you live in the US, you have 65 days to get your plan together to vote. So make sure you do that and help others do that as well. And remember that you count. So again, we are grateful, so grateful to come together as community. Thank you for turning in and for all the ways we learn and grow and deepen together, and how we love each other, serve, and remember God. And with that, let's hear from the amazing Krishna Das and Bob Thurman.
I unmuted.
Hello.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. If it's morning where you are, it's always morning where I am.
That's really good. I'm in the midnight.
Yeah.
Midnight.
Midnight at the Oasis.
That's it. So here we are,
Here we are.
dear Ramdas, bringing us together. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Yes.
And dear Ramdas and Maharaji, bringing us together. I'm the unfortunate one. Let me complain a little. I didn't get to meet Maharaji. I saw him, though, physically saw him from the road across the bridge.
Mm.
And then there was KD, and I didn't know that. I had met you briefly in your white clothing, wearing white Indian thing, I think, over in Kosani, no, in Amora.
Almore on the ridge.
And there you were threatening to do yourself in 3 inches of water.
6 inches.
6? Really?
6. Yeah.
So can you tell us about how did that happen? Maharaji was, what happened?
Oh, it's a very long story, but actually, I had a girlfriend in America before I left for India, but we had broken up maybe 2 years before, or more even, and I always felt there was unfinished business between us. So I was driving down from Ramdas's place to my mother's house on Long Island with Danny Goldman, and we were going to get on the plane to India.
Oh my goodness!
And I convinced
did Danny's afro fit into the car?
Well, he had to put his head in the back seat, but everything else was okay. So I decided to try to find my ex-girlfriend in Providence, Rhode Island, and we spent the whole day going from one address to the next to the next. Finally, Danny had enough, so I said, "All right." I tried. I just wanted to say, I'm leaving America. I'm never coming back. Thank you for everything. I'm okay, and I hope you're okay. And Ram Ram.
Oh God!
But I couldn't find her, so I was way up in the mountains in India, near Nainital, and I had gone out to KK. Our friend KK had a kutir out in an orchard outside of Nainital, and I went out there to do retreat, and I was gonna stay out there for a few weeks, and I bought a big package of rice. I was gonna cook my own rice. I would have died of starvation, but I was gonna try. So first night I went to sleep, I woke up freezing, then burning, then freezing, then burning, and all night long. And in the morning, I literally couldn't pick my arms up. I couldn't get up out of bed. It was,
oh my God!
And it turned out that I had hepatitis.
Oh my God!
And so I'm lying there and I'm thinking, wait a minute, nobody's coming here for weeks. What am I going to do? So in the supreme clarity of 106 fever, I decided to roll myself down the mountain into the road so somebody would stop and take me back to town.
Oh no!
Anyway, I did that. I rolled down into the road and I lay there for all day. Nobody stopped. And now it's late afternoon. The sun is starting to set, early March at about 8,500 feet.
Oh no!
It was getting cold, and I thought, okay, I better roll myself out into the road because nobody's seeing me down in this little gully at the edge of the road. And I don't want to freeze to death. So I thought it'll be quicker if the bus runs over me. But so anyway, I rolled out in the middle of the road and I felt, the diesel engine, of the old blue buses in Uttar Pradesh.
Oh no!
Coming up the hill around this curve. And the bus stopped 10 feet from my head.
Oh my God!
And the people got off the bus. They carried me onto the bus and put me on the floor. And when I got to Nainital, this Nepali bearer, he put me over his back and he carried me to KK's house.
Oh my God!
So while I was recovering from hepatitis, I got a letter from a friend of mine who said she went to visit my ex-girlfriend, my former girlfriend, she was in a mental hospital.
Oh,
and,
no.
And she went to visit her, and Gail was completely catatonic. She didn't open her eyes. She didn't look at her or anything for hours. And then finally, as the other friend was getting ready to go, she opened her eyes and she asked about me.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
So this woman had written to me to tell me that. So I started thinking, well, maybe I should go back. Maybe I could help her. Maybe, you know, I could do something for her. Just fantasizing about it. 10 days later, I got another letter saying that Gail had escaped from the hospital and killed herself.
Oh.
And at first I was just like very, very sad about it. But then I realized that because it took so long for a letter to reach me up in the hills, when I had gotten the first letter, she was already dead.
Oh.
And that was like a gut punch. That was like, like it was really, really heavy. So I vowed to myself that when Maharaji returned to the hills, I would ask him for blessings for her. So much time passed, maybe about 6 or 7 weeks, maybe a couple of months. And finally he returned to the hills, and I was well enough I totally forgot about Gail.
Uh-oh.
Totally
No.
forgot.
One
night she came to see me. And she
Uh-oh.
she had fangs, and
Oh,
her eyes
no.
were like this. And she looked at me and she said, "Why didn't you help me? Why didn't you do something for me?"
Oh, no.
And then, well, I wonder if Mark Epstein's listening to this, because we were walking down the road in front of my mother's house.
Oh, no.
And when we got in front of my mother's house, I turned and I left Gail in the road, and I went into my mother's house and I closed the door. And when the door slammed, I woke up and I was drenched in sweat. I was freaked out.
Oh, no.
So I went running to the temple. I grabbed Dada and I went into Maharaji's room. And I started telling Dada the story. And Maharaji's sitting there. While I'm telling Dada the story in English, Maharaji kept saying, "Do din se pele, 2 days before, 2 days before." And the minute I stopped talking, without any translation from Dada, Maharaji looked at me and said, "2 days before she died, she remembered you, she thought of you. That's why this has come back on you." And he bops me on the head and says, "Don't worry, she won't bother you anymore." And I said, "Baba, what about her? You know, will she have good birth?" And he said, "Teek, yes, she'll have good birth."
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the only time I ever heard him verify reincarnation out
Oh,
loud.
really? Oh, good.
I've never heard him. He never talked about that stuff.
Right. I see. To you guys. To you guys.
To us guys, yeah.
Right.
So then after that, he started teasing me. He said, "Oh, Krishnadas was married. He was happy when he's married. He'll have to get married again." And, you know, no, I don't wanna, no, because people who got married, around him got together, he would say, "Oh, you're friends. They're friends. Isn't that nice?" And 2 days later, say, "Oh, they're good friends, isn't? Oh, they're very good friends." And 2 days later, boom, you're married. Go back to America. Not me. I was staying as close to those feet as I could. So I started to freak. I really panicked. Anyway, a couple of other things happened, and I had a full-on breakdown. I mean, hallucinations.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And Maharaji sent me to sit in this room in the back and read the Bhagavad Gita. He said, "Read the Gita." So I was sitting there reading the Gita, and this black whirlpool, smoky gray black whirlpool, started opening in the floor in front of me.
Ay, 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 ay.
And it was in slow motion whirlpool. It was just moving slowly, and I was being pulled down into it.
Oh,
And
no.
I wasn't thinking. There was no, I was just going into it. And all of a sudden, somebody comes to the door and says, "Krishnadas." "What?" "Maharaj is calling. He wants to see you." So I got up and I was like, and I walked down to the front of the temple. And by the time I got to him, I just fell in his lap and I was weeping. I was crying, uncontrollably. And many years later, the guy who came to get me from Maharaji, he said, "Did I ever tell you what Maharaji said that day?" I said, "No." He said, "Quick, go find Krishnadas before he kills himself."
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. I was going into that smoky gray whirlpool. Who knows what would have happened? So then he just started like patting me on the head, and every once in a while a bop like that, and pins and needles would go through me, And he started quoting the very lines I had been reading in the Bhagavad Gita just before the whirlpool opened up. The soul is not born, the soul doesn't die, can't cut it, can't wet it, that's, And then he said, "What are you going to do, jump in the river?" Ah! He laughed, You can't die. Worldly people don't die.
Worldly people, he said?
Worldly people. He said only Jesus died the real death.
Oh,
why?
Really?
He said, why? Because he never thought of himself.
Oh.
He gave his life for his people. He never thought of himself. And he said, and I was crying, and I said, "Maharaji, what am I going to do? All I do is think about myself all the time. I'm such a mess." He said, "Attachment, this is all attachment. One attachment replaces another." He said, "Samsara is the flow of attachment. No attachment, then samsara khatam ho jayega. There won't be any samsara.
Oh, really?
No attachment,
good.
no samsara."
Good. I love that.
Yeah, so that's the way he did things. He precipitated that whole thing. He kept jabbing me about, we're getting married and this and that, and I finally completely freaked out. And then, of course, the whole situation with Gail. So
unbelievable. So you never actually went and put your face in the 6 inches of water. He just teased you.
Yeah, he just teased me, yeah. I thought about it. I figured, if I get my head under a rock, it might work, But
He was really great.
I didn't get the chance to find out.
He was so great.
These siddhas, they don't teach like that. They just do things. They change things. They just.
I know. So then he said, then Ramdas told the story when I really fell in love with Ramdas after I decided finally he was Ramdas and not the Richard Alpert I had known only. And was when he told a story about Maharaji, where when he wanted to go over to Bangladesh to save everybody, to do something because it was so awful. I mean, really, it was genocide going on there by the Punjabis against the Bangladeshis, fellow Muslims and all.
Yeah.
And he told Ramdas, "Oh, don't you see, Ramdas? It's perfect. It's perfect."
Yeah.
And then Ramdas said, he said to Maharaji, "Well, yes, okay, Guruji, it's perfect, but it stinks." In other words, he wanted to still do something. And then I don't know, were you there?
Sure. I was there.
So
yeah.
when he said that, then what did Maharaji say and so on? I don't know. But I love that because that's my thing. I remain pissed off, even though they show you a deeper level. But I remain. I want to be active. I want to be activist. I want to do something.
Yeah.
So what? So tell me.
No, I don't believe that Maharaji said anything more about that at the time.
Really?
He said what he had to say. He wasn't a big talker about those things. He didn't.
Well, but he did. He was active because he took away the car, so Ramdas couldn't go.
Do I know it? I took the car to Delhi on the back of a truck.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Ramdas was going to make an ambulance out of his camper or something, right?
Yeah.
Right, his van.
Well,
so he at least prevented Ramdas from going and getting killed over there. Which was very good.
Another thing happened with Ramdas, which is really, really powerful.
Yes.
Maharaji drove Ramdas crazy. He just completely blew his head up. And then Ramdas used to get really angry about things. Not at Maharaji, but at other people. So one day Ramdas was completely flipped out. And he goes up to the tucket. Maharaji's sitting. And he says, "Maharaji, I want you to raise my kundalini." And Maharaji goes, Kundalini. Wow, I don't know anything about that. You know that Baba down there in the south? Oh, he knows how to do that. You go see him. He'll do it. Ram Dass got angry. And Maharaji says, what about that other Baba? The one, that guy? Oh, he knows Kundalini. He can raise your Kundalini.
Muktananda, you mean?
Muktananda and Sai Baba he was talking about.
Yeah, right.
So then Ram Dass said, no, Maharaji, I want you to raise my Kundalini. So Maharaji stands up, throws his blanket up over his shoulder. He looks down at Ram Dass and he says, I only know two things, Ra and Ma. The two syllables of the name of Rama.
Rama?
That's all he knows, Rama.
It's interesting.
There was no one in there doing anything. There was no personal agenda of any kind. There was no planet of me around which stuff could revolve, orbit. There was just Rama. And everything was happening.
That's interesting.
So.
And Ram, do you know what the seed syllable Ram is in the Kundalini area? Do you know what it is? Fire.
Fire, yeah.
Ram. And it's in the navel chakra and a triangle. And it's the fierce female, actually. And that's Kundalini, and it burns up the central channel and so on.
Yeah.
So in a way, he was like, but so it's kind of fun. Rama was actually invoking fire, and that's a holy fire, fire that melts egotism.
Yeah.
Keeping everything to yourself melts it.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Yeah.
I love. I really, I feel I meet Ram Maharaji when you tell me these stories. KD, I think they're so much fun. I really do. He's he's just perfect, that guy. I saw him in his blanket there in front of all of you guys sitting around him, looking at him adoringly. And he was, but I couldn't go over there because I had to take various hippies to the hospital all the time.
Yeah.
I too bad I wasn't there. I would have gotten you before the bus from my camper from Almora coming by.
Yeah.
Well, so you were in search of your mother, but then you were scared. But then when you slammed the door, and that was in your dream.
Yeah, in the dream,
you slammed the door in Mom's house.
Yeah.
But you didn't, Mom wasn't there.
No, there was,
as far as you knew.
I just walked into the house and then I woke up. Yeah.
Right.
It was intense.
So do you identify with that mad child looking for his mother? When I read it, you didn't hear that,
No, I want to read it now.
Mad child.
Read it now.
Yeah, the discovery of mother voidness. I really, Mark Epstein never forgives me until I read this thing. He wants me to read it because he knows that my spiritual bypassing has to do with my not having dealt with my mother. So he wants me to find my trauma, but he doesn't realize that I am totally. It's just I think I'm schizophrenic. In other words, I'm so much into trauma that I'm jolly all the time. No, that's the fact.
Yeah.
You can it's not less trauma that makes you jolly. It's more trauma. The Dalai Lama always says that when he feels so really about to go into the dark whirlpool because something is so much disturbing him, his people are being slaughtered by the Chinese communists or something. You know what I mean? He's like, it's really, when he gets like that, he says, compassion is what saves him. And what he means by that, he then explains, other times, he doesn't always explain, but he explains. He starts to think about the children in Yemen, or in those old days in Biafra, or in Bangladesh, who are being bayoneted by West Pakistani troops, And he starts thinking about all kind of really more horrible things. And then as he does that, his own thing that he's so miserable about gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's less and less everything, because there's so much. And then that demands that he make some change within himself. And then he kind of goes through the death awareness into, he really does fall apart, in other words. But then when you just let go, dark night of the soul, completely, then the mother comes. The energy of the mother comes. And then the mother has the power to defang Gail, where she's no longer a threat.
Yeah.
And make her happy and the good birth. And that's what I'm sure when Maharaji said to you,
Yeah.
yes, she has good birth. Yes, she has good birth. He's the mother. He himself is the mother.
Yeah.
He's the mother there. So he's in his blankie there.
Yeah.
Mom in a blankie. And he didn't leave her shut outside the door.
No.
He found her in the bardo, wherever she was looking for KD blood. For all that good it would have done her. And he got her into going way beyond that, into a better life. So she'll probably be your mom in the next life.
Okay.
And you'll love that. You won't. Luckily, you might not remember.
Yeah,
and she might not either. Luckily. So here's the Jerome Doji. He says, "Oh, thatness." I read this before, but I didn't really comment, and I want your comment. Oh, thatness of profound relativity. Oh, wonder. By the way, I love Valerie Kaur's book, where she says that when she was a child with her grandfather, everything he showed her was a subject of wonder. And wonder was what opened her mind and heart to nature and beauty and all of these marvelous things. Wonder is the doorway to, the mother, rather than that, meaning wonder being, what is wonder? Wonder being where you don't immediately whack your concept on it and control what you meet and what you encounter, and then be sure you know what it is. And instead you're open to seeing some other dimension in it. And then you find in it, you find the mother, you find freedom in it. Anyway, may the Guru, who nakedly reveals this as it is, that's your Maharaji. That's my Geshe Wangyal, and later my Dalai Lama, and later my wife. His kindness irrepayable be enthroned in my heart. Isn't he in your heart, KD?
Absolutely.
All the time when you sing, especially when you sing and get out of your thinking.
Absolutely.
Your KD thinking.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
What about Ram Dass?
Oh,
is he sort of squeezing in skinnily next to him?
Oh, his presence and Maharaji's presence are together. They're one.
So he's kind of in Maharaji's lap or next to him, right?
Yeah. They're all all in there.
Yeah. And Hanuman, and what about Hanuman?
Same. He's
Hanuman is kind of
that presence. They
there's
are.
Like that this is the kind of, the Tibetans paint this beautiful icon where they have a guru, a particular one, and then behind that guru is a whole stack, of people, and then the guru represents all of them to you, in a primordial, beginningless lineage of moms, actually, and then but the mom doesn't always talk, so the moms she gets the dad to talk, so the dad is right there with her. Anyway, I will speak spontaneously whatever comes to mind. So that's what you do when you enthrone Guruji in your heart. Then you sing, and you sing spontaneously, whatever comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
And what does come to mind? Ram, Krishna, then Krishna, but where's Buddha? Number 9. Where?
Number 9.
Manjushri.
I learned that. I have that together for you.
You do? But when are we going to perform?
We'll figure it out.
Where is it? Manjushri. Jnanamurti.
Yeah, really extraordinary.
Jnanamurti. I was like, but not me. I was like a mad child. Krishna Das was like a mad child. Long lost his old mother, never could find her, though she was with him always. But now it seemed he's about to find that kind old Amma, since Big Brother relativity hints where she hides. Big Brother Maharaji hints where she hides. And then he thinks, oh yes, oh yes. Then he thinks, oh no. And then, could it really be? That's a wonder, right? These various subjects and objects are his mother's smiling face. These births, deaths, and changes are his mother's lying words. My undecaying, undeceiving mother has deceived me. My only hope of refuge is in brother relativity Maharaji. Why I like relativity? I'm sorry, I won't inflict that anymore. I apologize. But this that's why I like, wait, I want to find it. This Nanak, Guru Nanak. Now I'm seeing him as Maharaji, Guru Nanak.
Yeah.
And then Mool Mantra, the root mantra, right?
Yeah.
This one translation by Ekankar or somebody. One spirit beyond moves within the creation, coordinating, consolidating, continually creating. And this spirit within me is my true identity. So Maharaji is Paramatma as this cute little guy in a blankie.
Yeah.
Not Paramatma as some spiritual bypassing space where there's nobody in trouble. There's no KD.
Yeah.
Like having a hepatitis retreat with a bag of rice.
All he did his whole life was feed people and cure people and help people and heal people. He wandered, as they say, he wandered without any selfish desire to distribute alms to everyone.
Yes.
That's all he did. He was busy 24/7.
Yes.
It was all perfect, and yet he was busy healing and helping and
yes. And what about you? What are you doing? You're doing the same. Your arms are.
I'm just trying to hold on to that blanket.
A little more tunefully. But that's it. And then they are sitting there thinking about, what am I going to get? Where am I? What am I going to do? Who is it? Oh, there's terrible things happening. Oh, who's in the White House? Oh no, who's in my brain? What am I going to do? And then they hear you go, Ram, 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 Jay, 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 Jay. And then the melody lifts them out. And then temporarily, then the melody brings Maharaji and brings Guru Nanak and Jesus and Moses and all the great, and many we don't even know the names, Buddha, Rama, Krishna, Radha, Sita. And then they have some peace there.
Yeah.
Then they have, the spirit. But that means your identity, it does all. So, Nanak says, it causes all to be done. It protects me through all incidents of time and space. It fears nothing and knows nothing of vengeance or anger. So it couldn't do a revolution angrily, couldn't do a revolution vindictively, could only do it lovingly. But deathless, it comes into form. In itself, it has never been born. It has never been born. It's always been there.
Mm.
Flowing through the cycles of birth and death, it moves by its own purity and projection. This understanding shall come to you as a sweet blessing, as a gift. Isn't that your chanting?
Beautiful. Yeah.
Isn't that it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. But I'm the one who gets blessed.
Well, that's your identity, of course. If you don't get it, how is everybody else going to get it? If you're chanting and you're thinking, oh, I'm chanting now. Oh, isn't that great? What else can I chant? Oh, what am I doing? Oh, is this having good? If you didn't lose yourself in the chanting, then it would not be anything much. It would not.
Yeah.
No one would get a buzz. No, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
In every moment, continue in its continual embrace. From the start, this truth was true. All through time and space is true. Even now, this truth is true. Nanak says, that Kudbah Maharaji says, Nanak says, Jesus says, ever shall be true.
Mm.
Rama says, Krishna says.
Beautiful. Just beautiful.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I have to thank Jaydev. I do thank Jaydev. Ay. Valerie, you have Valerie there. She is an agent of Guru Nanak. She's a princess, warrior princess of Guru Nanak. That's good. But it's only the real warrior. The war is already won. Then it's just a matter of letting the the whirlpool, the black whirlpool, just devours itself.
Mm.
And nobody is left out. Nobody is banished. Everyone is embraced, or even the evildoers. That's way beyond me, but I'm sure it's true.
Yeah.
I know it because I believe them.
Yeah.
Bhakti. Yeah. What is bhakti, KD, please?
Bhakti means devotional heart-to-heart merging.
Mm-hmm. Heart-to-heart what?
Merging.
Yeah, right. Heart merge.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Heart merge. Yeah. So to heart merge, how do you open your heart to merge?
Well,
how does that happen?
From our perspective of being a separate being, we just release our thoughts again and again and come back to, in this case, we would say the repetition of the names. Just keep coming back. And you dissolve that glue that the thoughts have. They're covered with glue. And as they go through your awareness, they grab you and you think, and you think you're thinking. But the minute you notice that, here's something, Bob, I want to ask you this. Okay, so here we are.
Yes.
We're chanting, right?
Yes.
Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. And then all of a sudden you realize that you've been lost in a dream. You've been thinking about something and you haven't been paying attention. So how does that moment happen? Because you're gone. It isn't an act of your own will that wakes you up at that moment. How does that moment manifest? How does that happen?
Well, though,
all of a sudden you recognize that you've been gone.
Yes, but then this is, you do this every time. Have you, when you encountered Gail in wearing an Indonesian mask of a ghoulish devourer, a Rakshasi, then you you were in that split second, you were lucid in the dream.
Yeah.
Or you wouldn't be able to recite it later. And then in that lucidity, you were scared shitless. So you ran into mom's house and slammed the door, right? And then you woke up.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so wait. So how did you go? How were you lost in the dream by having let go of your consciousness entirely by falling asleep? So how do you have a heart merge? You have to experience a breaking of your heart. You have to undergo heartbreak in your old closed way. And then and when full scale heartbreak is complete unconscious, you lose that individual separate consciousness completely. And in a way, we do it every night, so it's not that scary. But even there are people who can't sleep. You know, they can't go to sleep because they're so scared to let go, because they're too scared what will happen. But what the beautiful thing, though, is that you then came back still in the dream, and you did something appropriate. Saved your ass by going to mom's house, slamming the door, confident that mom's door would protect you. And so you were both there, post letting go, and still letting go, but still in the dream. Then you woke up, and then that has to be done in other planes, you know. And it's like Zhuangzi said, the great Taoist. He said, last night I lucidly dreamed I was a butterfly. And now I don't know whether I'm a butterfly dreaming I'm Zhuangzi, or Zhuangzi dreaming I'm a butterfly. So he was in a state of wonder in both places. Meaning so in other words, heartbreak, death is one thing. And to be fully alive in union, in heart merger with love, has to be beyond heartbreak. And yet beyond heartbreak is not without coming back and being brave enough to have a heart and expressing something. So that, you know, it has to be still wonder. You have to still be living in wonder. You don't have to, if you catch yourself in a sense of, and then you feel bad, wait a minute, I wasn't mindful, I was lost. No, you should be happy losing yourself, because you can't lose yourself, because you're already in mom's house. Your mom's house. You know, Guru Nanak said it's not right in this point. It's in one of these japji, these later 40 verses that he expressed his highest thing at the beginning of what later became a scripture for them. But he says, I wear death as my robe. So Maharaji, Blanky, is death. It's his heartbreak worn as a blankie. And so he always has the blank. So it's not like he wears it as a robe. His goneness, in other words, and his there-ness for the benefit of others. His goneness as reality, facing the most difficult element in reality, of self-giving, and his there-ness out of love and compassion and service are simultaneous. In your case, I guess it's your T-shirt. It is. It's your T-shirt. You know, the Tibetans do a dance. They have this apron with the death's face on it. You know, black apron with a Mahakala death face on the apron. You know, and then they're doing their dance. You know, so that's really important.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you ask me, not that I know, I mean, I don't pretend to know. I'm I'm thinking out loud, inspired by you, and it's finding the wonder, but then and sharing the wonder by being there, and not without acting like I'm so wondering to the person, because what your state is not important to that person who's seeking the wonder, freedom, who's seeking the heart merge, because they're shut up inside a heart that is that is that is cramped by egotism, not by ego, but by egotism. Ego is just a word, pronoun,
Right.
but egotism,
Yeah.
self-grasping.
Yeah.
Is that helpful?
Yeah. Yeah. Very much. Very much. Beyond heartbreak. That's beautiful.
Om is three things. The Om itself is three things.
Yeah.
And they say that is the mother of reality, of Paramatma, the swan, and is the father, and the is their unity, is their bliss, the bliss of their unity, mother, father, unity. It's not just Om is not just transcending. It's transcending and immanenting.
Yeah, sure.
In the chant, in the Bhakti.
Yeah, very much.
So Bhakti.
Yeah.
Bhakti. Ram Dass. Richard Alpert was so intelligent.
Yeah.
And he was a Harvard professor of psychology with tenure and a green Mercedes convertible. And he had a lot of fun.
Yeah, he did.
And he was known for being fun-loving.
Yeah.
And which is fine, which is nice. But he was very sensitive because he was so intelligent. And he sort of realized the limits of fun that is still hampered by wanting more.
Yeah.
By craving, by attachment. Oh, attachment. Attachment, your guru said, attachment. They said, attachment.
Yeah.
You know, the other Buddha, the Buddha, did you know this? I was so excited when I went to Sri Lanka last year because I vowed I was going to only read Theravada scripture. No Mahayana, no, I won't read Mahayana, no Vimalakirti, no flower ornament sutra, no, I won't heart sutra, no, just Theravada. So I had a hold, I was grasping the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the great focus of mindfulness sutta. They translate foundation. That is wrong. It's upasthana means focus, where you put your mind, not where your mind is standing, where you put it. Okay, upasthana. Upa means focus, placing it with focus. So I'm reading, and I get to the very end, where it's mindfulness of mental objects. And the last great mental object to put your mindfulness on after you've done breath, body, sensations of pleasure and pain, and then mind, which is really short because you can't find it to be mindful of, and then mental objects, which you can find plenty of them, and it's very long. And then the last one is Four Noble Truths. And then he goes through for the truth of suffering. Very lengthy, very length. And then all kind of pleasure that you could possibly have. And he specifies all of them, what you might see that's pretty, what you might smell that smells good, what you might hear that is beautiful music, what you might taste that is delicious, what you might touch that is ecstatic and smooth and delicious, and etc. And what you might think in your mind that is like exalting. But what is waiting there, he says, to those monks. The monks are sitting there like you, but they have orange robes and no beard and no hair. And they all said, yes, Guruji. What? He says, attachment is there. Attachment is hovering over them. And therefore they are suffering, even those pleasures, because they won't last. And attachment wants more, always more, not enough, more. Okay, then he does the cause, mindfulness of cause, and he's doing guided meditation with them. And then finally he comes to nirvana, nibbana, they say in Pali, nibbana.
Yeah.
Like almost nipple-bana. I like that. Nipple-bana, the mother. Okay, never mind. Nibbana. And then he says, well, where is this nibbana? Where is this noble truth, this reality, this truth, nibbana? Where? And then to my shock at first, at delight second, he goes through the same list of every pleasure of sin, and in detail, eye, ear, nose, beautiful thing, beautiful smell, beautiful taste, everything, beautiful mental thing. What's the difference? No attachment. No attachment. Attachment got dropped with the cause. We got rid of that attachment. So then he's no attachment.
Wow.
So then, not off planet, not in some spiritual bypass, of psychotic realm where you're there all by yourself. Your big ego is the universe. Oh yes, all one, and it's just me. Oh, so nobody can take away my White House. No, I have it. White House. It's my White House, all mine, and no one will take it away because. And I'm not even guilty that I'm being a hog because everybody's here, but they just don't have bodies. And I don't have a body, so we can't even do anything. We can't molest each other. But they're all there. And I'm saying here, goodbye, world. That is kind of, what is that? Psychosis. That's not Amma. That's not mother emptiness giving her breast of that's attachment. Krishna Das, good birth. Yes, she'll have good birth. Be peaceful, Krishna Das. Just chant. Ram Das, just speak the truth. Don't be angry. Speak the truth, Ram Das. Okay? That's the mother. That's the milk flowing out from the breast of Maharaji, the milk of the truth, while he's wearing his blankie of death, of heartbreak. Therefore, into which blanket he absorbs all the heartbreak of the people who come to him, so they can feel the love. So then you have to come back from there for the love, and then you do, of course, because it's so boring. Just my White House. But it was completely boring. So bored. Really.
Yeah.
So love is not boring. But that was a problem for me, because I had this friend who he said, I don't want nirvana. He said, he was an artist. He said, he didn't want nirvana. It's too boring to be blissful all the time.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
What's beautiful is to be freaked out and then be blissful. The release into bliss from being freaked out. That's what's cool. That's what's awesome. But what happens when you lose yourself? KD, Krishna Das, what happens? And you go, Jai Krishna, Jai Krishna. And you were tired before you got there. You were like, oh, something worrying. Did I have a little something in some cell of mine? Did they feed me some bad food? I don't feel good. And you were tired. But then when you do it, and you don't do it all by yourself. There's a bunch of people out there. And you see them and they're like, I know I love Krishna Das, so I drove here, but I had a hard day and I'm tired. And they're sitting there. And then you and Jai Krishna. And then they go, Jai Krishna. And then the tone, sort of like a conch shell, like Krishna's conch shell in the Gita. and they suddenly they lose themselves.
Yeah.
But they never would lose themselves if you just went, I'm a professional Jai Krishna person, so I'm going to go Jai Krishna. Although I'm tired. No. That wouldn't work. You lose yourself. And it becomes a gift. It becomes a sweet blessing. And then they enter that together. And then Maharaj is there, Ramdas is there dancing. Ramdas is like the guy, Ramdas after death is like the guy in the Avatar movie. They put him in a little box with all tubes and little things, a medical dream, fantastic, the little box. And Sigourney Weaver put him there. So she escaped from the alien and she came and put him in the box. Sigourney, and his legs didn't work, remember? He was a macho warrior. His legs didn't work, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly he wakes up and he's got a blue body. He's like 8 feet tall and he has a tail. And wait a minute, his legs and muscles are powerful, energy streaming to his legs. And he starts running to a garden and leaping. And remember, they're going, don't do that. Wait a minute, your nervous system will collapse under. He's like unstoppable, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens when you die, when you're broken like that. Death, but that's not the death part. The death part, you disappear for some time. But when you disappear into the mother's breast, into the ocean of the milk, of the love of all the Maharajis and the Gurujis and the Nanaks and the Buddhas and the Krishnas and the Ramas and the Parashurama and the turtle and the Narasimha, the human lion, and the fish, and what else? The boar, big boar.
Yeah.
You disappear into all of those things. Then it has a use for you. It's not just then the creating and coordinating, like Nanak said, creating, always creating, doesn't just sit there in the ocean. And where's the pleasure? It's in everything, because there's no craving, no attachment. And the big pleasure is when your sound, Ram, the fire of your sound, kindles in the heart of your listener, and they're lifted out of their stress, albeit temporarily in some cases, most cases, now and then, something else, but they're lifted out into the same bliss plane.
Yeah.
But bliss embodied in sound. Anahata Shabda, the unstruck sound coming through you. That Tibetan thing that they do where they go,
Yeah.
And then it resonates all the higher strings in your vocal cords and in your brain, It has that polyphonic, resonance.
Yeah.
In all different high tones and low tones that they went crazy about, the scientists, when they analyzed the sound. That's because somehow the heart center itself was completely open. And then the sort of the energy of the mother comes through, And in that case, it's sort of staying close to Yama. They learned that by some great Lama in some century who was meditating and he had a vision of like the whirlpool vision you had. Yeah. It was like a tunnel, a giant tunnel going down through the earth. And there was Yama down there, the god of death.
Yeah.
Like that Nachiketas meets in the Katha Upanishad,
Yeah.
And there was the Yama was down there. And so then suddenly, because that Lama's heart was open, he had a heart merge with Yama. Huh. And then this voice, most awe-inspiring voice, like, the deepest bass voice you can think of,
Yeah.
Came out of his chest, involuntarily, let's say. And somehow you can only do that. You have to go on the edge of voluntary, involuntary. I can't do that.
Totally relaxed.
Yeah, something like that. Can you do? Can you do?
At times I can do it. You have to really be completely relaxed.
Are you completely relaxed enough now? I'm making you too bothered. I'm sorry. You could do it.
I don't want to break the microphone. A very expensive microphone.
cost-benefit analysis.
Yes,
Right?
no, not worth it right now. Yama will wait.
That's good. No, Yama's not waiting. Not waiting.
Yama waits for no one.
Yama there. Yama waits. Yama's there in the bass sound. The sound is going through. It's the magic. We're on the magic of the coronation. We've all been coronated.
Huh.
You got to read Charles Eisenstein's essay. Go find it online. Charles Eisenstein. There's a website. It's called The Coronation. And what the coronation has done to us all by putting us in isolation is, and then out everywhere in the universe, in the internet, by Zoom, And what it has done is it has realized that each one of us, our thought, our feeling of either love or anger, our decision, our button pressing, eventually our vote, has tremendous power, sovereignty. The beautiful Thomas Paine image in Common Sense about democracy. Do you remember that?
No.
You know what it is? What he said democracy is you take the crown of the king with its jewels and you shatter it into infinite little jewel shards. And every single individual person, black or white or brown or red or green or blue or yellow, and female or male or bi or both or neither or whatever, gets one piece of that jewel, one piece of that sovereignty. And then they mandate, they invest that sovereignty in someone who temporarily expresses their sovereignty. And they remove them from that sovereignty when they are just getting too carried away with themselves, rather than that they are expressing everybody's sovereignty. So it's a beautiful, beautiful vision, really.
Yeah,
really is beautiful. It's very, the people, even Thomas Paine, I'm sure, and Jefferson and all of them, they were not fully up to it, really, but they got it enough to put their lives on the line temporarily.
Yeah.
Then they backpedaled, of course, right away and got, that's my microphone's too expensive. I'm sorry, I don't mean that. Don't take it. They just got like that, and then they were bad, and then now but the corona is bringing everyone out there to see everyone else what they like. And everyone sees everyone else. And then we have to put the jewels, we will automatically put the jewels together. We will. We'll put them together.
Good.
And then even the people who are choking on having too many jewels, which they can't possibly, which is exploding them from the inside. It's totally stressful to be that rich.
Yeah.
And it'll explode out of them.
Yeah.
We'll see. Everyone will see. It will happen. Yes.
Yeah.
And because everyone will do something. I hope. I think
so
that's our hope. That's a dopey hope. And Annie, you cannot have exclusive control of dopey hope. We're all a bunch of dopes. There's not one of us who isn't a dope. If anybody of us pretends to be not a dope, then forget about it. And you know what I mean? I explain things. I have somehow channel explaining things where somebody else understands it temporarily, but I don't understand it. I don't know what I'm saying. I do not. Gangjen told Jungi Tsiksu Mao, in that he says, I'm going to express 3 words that are going to bubble up in my mind. Literally bubble up, he says. I don't know what I'm saying. But somehow, by the way I have received the kindness of the gurus, Geshe-la, His Holiness, Her Holiness, my near guru, and my friend, she refuses to be a guru, but a friend. Anyway, by the virtue of that, the tradition comes through because there's no lack of understanding. Which the kind of understanding that leads to wonder, not to closure, not to door slamming, door opening.
Yeah.
You know, if you had that dream, if anybody else, if you tonight dreamed of me wearing a mask with fangs, drinking your blood, I'm you to open the door. Here, have a drink. I don't like it anyway. Go ahead, transfusion. You know,
Yeah.
you would not slam the door. You wouldn't need to. I'm sure, but you and the fact that you doubt that is probably part of it. I feel sure you would be able to find. Gail, go ahead, man. I don't have any milk, so take the blood. I'm a male. I don't have, my tits are useless.
Yeah.
But your milk comes with your voice, with your
Yeah.
chanting. That's why we love you. And you should chant. I'm talking, but I talk like that. That's what I do.
Your talking is chanting. You know that.
Well, it's like that. Because I don't know what I'm saying, really. Believe me, Annie. Don't worry about me. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm a dope. Just ask my wife or any of my kids or my grandchildren. Dopey grandpa. You know what they love when we have a family picnic? What they love is a moment in one of our family picnics. When I went into which was a picnic outside in front of our little house, which is on terraces, you know, like a Himalayan sort of thing, but in the Catskills. And I went in to get this baked potato, the boiled potatoes. And so brilliantly, I didn't see a colander in the kitchen. So I came out with the whole pot with the bubbling hot water with the things. And then I reached over the terrace and I was going to pour the boiling water carefully without losing the potatoes off the terrace, right? And then my guru, my good wife, Lenita, she says, "Don't pour that on my roses." Because of course I didn't realize they were plants growing in a bed underneath that portion of the wall. There are other portions where it was just regular dirt, so it would have been okay. But I was doing. So then I go, "What do you mean I'm not doing that?" And then I looked to the side and I lost my balance, and me and the boiling water and the pot of potatoes all fell off.
Oh no.
In a huge kerplash. And luckily, by some miracle, by the blessings of Manjushri, maybe, I don't know, I wasn't hurt. I wasn't burned. And even the potatoes were not, they were al dente, so they weren't smushed. So then I shamefacedly, all red in the face, I picked them all up and put them in the empty pot. And I came back up and feeling all embarrassed. And they were laughing their asses off. And they still are. When we have a picnic or when we have a family gathering like that, inevitably somebody comes up, "Oh yeah, Tenzing, he's going to go get the potatoes." And they all go nuts. And I still get pissed off. I do.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I get like, "Oh, come on. Haven't we talked about that enough? At least I can get hurt or something." I try for space, I'm focused on my microphone.
You brought so much joy to them.
What?
You brought so much joy and happiness.
It's still there.
Yeah.
It's the point. Like if you're not attached, it's still there. Every joy you ever had is still there. It is past. Past is not gone. No. If Nirvana is in the past, not just in the future, or just not just in the moment. There is no moment. No one can find the moment. Moment is like it's a moving line. It has no duration. No one gets the moment. Oh, we are. It's past and future. And all the joy and nirvana is everywhere. And we don't know that, of course, until we have no more attachment. We don't have to be Buddha. If you don't have that language, you wouldn't call it Buddha. You call it Jesus. You call it God. You call it Guru Nanak. You call it whatever you want to call it. Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar. You don't have to say Buddha. He doesn't mind. It's not attached to that. Buddha, Buddha. I know why you guys don't chant Buddha, Buddha. Jai Buddha, Jai Buddha. You go Jai Rama, Jai Krishna. But I know why.
Why?
Because then when you repeat it, Buddha, Buddha, it would be like how they make a machine gun in a comic book. Buddha, 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 Buddha. It's too many consonants. B, B, and D. Too many explosive consonants. Buddha, 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 Buddha. So you don't want to say that. That's why.
Oh, money from them.
What? So I
Well,
just want to reassure. I know, because Annie worries about me. She's the sweetest person. Annie, I love you. You are so sweet and so and so eloquent. And I love Jesus too. Don't worry. Jesus, Maharaji says, Jesus is Buddha. Did he say that? You know,
He
Gaelic
said,
Rinpoche said that one time.
Maharaji said,
Somebody asked me, what about Jesus? And I said, oh, he's great Bodhisattva. And then Gaelic Rinpoche was there and he was very annoyed with me. And he said, no, not Bodhisattva, Buddha.
Really? Oh.
Jesus was Buddha, he says.
Wow, good. Yeah, Maharaji said Hanuman, Christ, Krishna, all same.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when he talked about Jesus, there was something really unusual.
Yes.
It was almost like even he couldn't bear the intensity
I know.
the presence of that kind of compassion and love.
I know.
Tears would come from his eyes.
What's wonderful.
Yeah, it was really extraordinary.
Really wonderful. But you know, it is a fact that the Christians, until the time of Constantine, they did not rub that in their faces that much. The crucifix was not the icon object of worship. The resurrected Jesus was the icon of worship. The triumphant Jai Jesus, Jai Jesus, Jai. And then, of course, they themselves were being thrown to the lions by the nasty Romans. And so they didn't worship that. And there's no art object before the early fourth century. All the art historians, everybody agrees. It was what they worship was what they call Christos pedagogos, Christ the teacher. In the synagogue, in the temple, turning over the table of the money changers. Like wearing like a robe, looking like a Plato or like a teacher. Pedagogos. Greek for teacher. Christos pedagogos is what they, like more warrior like. They didn't look. They didn't wallow in his victimhood.
Yeah.
But the Romans put that there because they wanted the Christians. Although the message is he transcended this, but what they show is the time of the absolute suffering, the maximum suffering and torture you can experience, which Jesus was showing to show that he wasn't going to kill him, or even death would not be an end of him.
Yeah,
and he would come back from it and wear it like a robe, like Maharaji. So the Romans pushed that because they wanted to be God. They wanted the Christians to regard them, the emperors, as God. That is a fact. And that has too much. We shouldn't feel, and then people in our tradition, I was born as a Presbyterian and so on, and in the Western tradition, when people would have that unity experience, where they would go through death and meet God, they would tend to burn them and destroy them. And very few survived as mystics.
Really?
Not like India,
Yeah.
because the authority, was modeling on the Roman. They wanted to stay in charge, and they didn't want people to have that bliss energy much. They wanted them to be, which they have anyway, but they wanted to make it scarce, let's say, and the emperor wanted to keep the bliss.
Yeah.
What they thought of it. Meanwhile, they weren't satisfied, so they weren't that nice.
Yeah.
So that's a little something we can focus on. So Maharaji's tears are wonderful.
Wonderful.
And he's, when I was a little kid, I was actually annoyed. I was annoyed with God.
Yeah.
I was.
Sure.
I thought that, why is he putting his son through that? If I said, well, God is doing himself, if I'd had a little more sophistication, I said, well, God is just showing himself that he can go through that, and go beyond it. So don't fear it, But then the son, and I was the son, But my dad was nice. He would never have, He was actually not bad. I was not traumatized by him.
Hmm.
He was quite nice. He was traumatized though.
Yeah.
By the fathers, patriarchal male chauvinist fathers. He inherited that, but he did not transmit it to me. He was very gentle, actually.
Yeah, mine too.
He was. He was a good cook. His lemon meringue pie was fantastic. Unbelievable. He studied in chef school in Paris when he was a PhD student.
Oh.
And my mother took full advantage. And he was very sweet, my dad.
Good.
Anyway, so okay. What? What?
Nothing. All good.
Who else is there? What are we doing? We're all together. Oh, Sharon. Ay. You got to read her Be the Change book.
Real change.
So good.
Real change.
Oh, yeah, real change. Be the change. Whatever. That book, you got to read it because, Sharon is by now a village. Hillary wrote, it takes a village.
Yeah,
well, Sharon is a village. No, because she not like me, she doesn't talk just herself all the time because she's smarter. And she's also a Leo, of course. And she keeps, looking for the awareness in everyone. And she quotes them and what it achieved for them and how they did it. And she brings them along with her so that gives people more hope that they also can come along and be part of it. That's really good.
Yeah.
My problem is people act like, oh, I can't figure that out. Oh, I'm too stupid. They go into that. They get all into that. Well, wall themselves off from what they do understand, actually. And, that's why Sharon is better. Definitely. Definitely. And you too, because you sing. Next life, I'm going to sing.
Yeah? Okay, I'll talk.
Okay, I'm going to sing. It's going to be
you sing, I'll talk.
Tenzing Bob Bowie. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to be bi. I'm going to be both.
Yeah,
like Naropa.
Bye, Bob Bowie.
Bye, Bob Bowie. Ideally, I would have two bodies,
That's more fun. And also more destruction.
Well, it's embarrassing to people. That when Naropa was running around Benares with his consort wrapped around his waist, which was also him, but they were one being, but they were two beings, one male and one female. So they were they. They were like bi people who want to be referred to as they. The pronoun for bi people is they. You never say he or she or he and she. You say they. Even if it's singular, you can use they in a singular way. And it's been somebody in the London Review of Books said it's allowed, so that we know it is. So then the citizens of Benares were furious and embarrassed. He was also hunting deer and barbecuing them, both of them, he and she. They were hunting deer and barbecuing them. And then the deer would jump, then they would take the bones and go blah, blah, blah. Oh, mani padme hum. And then the deer would jump up and run away again after they ate.
Yeah.
And so they weren't being harmful, but they were showing that. But still, it was too embarrassing. So the citizens of Benares put them on a big fire and tied them to a stake because they couldn't pry them apart. like dogs sometimes.
Yeah.
They couldn't get them apart. So they're on this, they put a big fire like that and they lit the fire and they said, oh, okay, this is too disgusting. We don't want to see that. Then it's like, they didn't even wear like a robe or anything. They were like stark naked. But then they came back the next morning and there they were. And where the fire had been was a lotus lake. And they were sitting in a lotus and they were still at it.
Wow.
So then those citizens said, well, Teak,
it must be okay.
I guess, let's go home, dear. They decided, well, they couldn't shut it off. That they said that the sexuality had, was actually part of life, something. And these people, it's a little bit exaggerated for these people, but we're not going to kill them over it.
Yeah, they tried, but they couldn't.
They tried, but couldn't. And that's Jesus's point. The Romans tried, and they couldn't. But the Romans didn't want you to think that their powers were limited. That's why then they brought up the thing as if that was the final moment.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
That's what Maharaji said. He said when he told us we should meditate like Christ. So Ram Dass said to him, well, how did he meditate? He said, first he actually stopped. He was about to say something. He just stopped.
Huh?
And his eyes closed.
Really?
And he sat in front of us completely still. We had never seen him sit still in 2 years. I mean, there was always fruit going in all directions, talking to 10 people at once. All of a sudden, boom. And then 2 tears came down his cheek.
Mm.
And he kind of shook himself and he opened his eyes. He said, he lost himself in love. He lost himself in love. That's how he meditated.
Mm.
He never died. No one understands. No one understands.
He said that he never died?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really great.
Yeah. He lost himself in love. He never died. No one understands.
That is really great.
He never died.
That is so great.
He used to say,
I
I go to church every Christmas. We thought, what?
Very good. You know, well, why he was so silent, he was experiencing empathetically,
Absolutely,
ripping all his flesh off his bones to feed all life. You know, that's why he had no tongue to speak. He was feeding it to beings. Maharaji was.
Yeah, at that moment,
and the tears were just fluids. He was everything giving like that. Yeah. And then he realized, why was he able to do that? Because love heals. It has greater power than pain. And it is pure bliss. And it's beyond it. And it doesn't ignore it, though. That's the complexity of it. Mm-hmm. Its ecstasy is from overwhelming it. So it encases it, something like that, some weird way. That's amazing. Maharaji. Like people ask the Dalai Lama, how can you be happy when your people are being tortured in concentration camps and dungeons and beaten and really fingernails pulled out and bamboo put under them? And how can you be happy? And he doesn't give something, but it is because he has that deeper love. Yeah. And his love, you know, when he thinks of them, he simultaneously thinks, I must open the channel for the love to go to them in their agony. In other words, when you're overwhelmed by their agony, if you stay there, then you're just adding to it. And so what you have to try to do is what is it can be sent through the internet, the original internet, which is the shunyat emptiness, mother emptiness relativity, to heal them, to let them pass out into even the death if it's too bad, and go through death into the bigger life. Because there's no staying in death. Death is not a thing, it's just a door. You have to let go to go in. So you have to be joyful. Yeah. It's a duty. Yeah. It's a thrill. No, yeah. It's a profession. Yeah. Love is a profession.
Yeah, one time I heard that His Holiness answered that question, you know, how can you be happy? He said, the Chinese have taken everything from me. Am I going to let them take my happiness too?
He said?
Yeah.
He did say that?
He said, I heard that he said that, yeah.
I see. Because, of course, he wants them to take his happiness, on the other hand.
Yeah, that's
But true. I understand he was speaking then as the person with that sort of, you know, like it was a thing that he had, you know, like expensive thing. Yeah. So he would be human. So of course. So as Jesus was. Jesus said, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. That was the last thing he said. Excuse my Hebrew. I don't speak Hebrew, so I don't know if I pronounced it correctly. But Lama means why, according to Lama is an expression of wonder. That's so interesting. According to Elie Wiesel, Lama means why, and Sabachthani means why did you forsake me? Why does they translate it in English? Why dost thou forsake me?
Yeah, like
So
anybody talks like
he
that.
then separate. So at that moment, Jesus, although Jesus was one with God in the bypass plane,
Yeah.
he was being the person, son, and he was saying, "Why have you forsaken me?" Which is what I heard when I was a little kid. Why I didn't like God. I said, "Why did you?" Pain. I was like that, because I didn't know that Jesus didn't die and he wasn't forsaking, and he was opening to the heart merger of the being of the being that is all heart, that is the divine, that is Maharaji, that is mother emptiness, indivisible from father compassion.
One thing in from the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjun, he says, when you see me in all, and all in me, I never leave you, and you never leave me. And he who in this oneness of love loves me in everything he sees, I never leave that being. It's the ultimate and the relative reality moving back and forth. It's all.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. Yes, Richard Freeman has a new translation of it called, it's going to be published soon. I don't remember the name. It's love, something about love. But anyway, last summer in London, he somehow, Krishna came through to me, and I stopped being mad with him for the war.
Yeah.
I was never accepting the war. And Arjuna was doing like Buddha, dropping out from being the king and the warrior of killing. But that had to happen. So then he completely overwhelmed that with the bliss of Krishna. So then I saw that. I saw how the absolute is the relative, and thereby sometimes you have to be fierce, but always with love.
Yeah.
Fierce. That's why I never say wrathful deity. It's completely wrong. Fierce, Kali is never wrathful. She's fierce, but she's loving. Her ferocity is ferocity of love. But you have to do that sometimes to help a demon.
Yeah.
Because demons, by being harmful and being wrathful, they're sending themselves to hell. They're creating hell.
Yeah.
And then they need the doorway out of hell, which is death. So you need to administer that as a fierce being, but with love. If you don't do it with love, then you join them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he was telling Arjun. He said, all this, he said, all these beings, they're already dead.
Yes,
you're
I
just
know.
going through the paces. You're just.
I know.
Yeah. So, but that's something that has to be experienced directly. It's not something you can't manipulate your emotions for that.
I know.
You'll get it, Bob. Don't worry. It's okay. It's okay.
Thank you, KD. I'm so happy. Thank you so much.
It's okay. And Bob,
I really am. Thank you. I really mean it. Gratitude. Yeah. Gratitude is so good.
Great to be with you. Always great to be with you.
Is the time over?
It is. Yeah, they're gonna
absolutely
cut us
over
off at the head. Yeah.
I was gonna read one of my favorite poets.
Go ahead. Maybe they'll let it go. Go ahead, quick.
Open. It's called Many, Many Thanks from Linda Stitt, Stitt. She passed away herself by now. She had 80, 90 something. Anyway, Many, Many Thanks is the name of this poem. Open your heart so wide, the whole universe falls in, and there is nothing but love. Gratitude is a key. Give thanks to all and everything, to the fire and the wind, the earth and the water, all nature, all spirits, as the first people do. Give thanks for the Buddhas, the gods and the goddesses, the saints and the bodhisattvas. Be grateful for the enemies who challenge us to grow. Give thanks for the human bodies, the vehicles which transport us to the light. Be grateful to those who went before, who gave us the grace to be in this place where there is so much to be grateful for. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Om Mani Padme Hum.
Om Mani Padme Hum. Amen.
Thank you.